Let's do it. Let's do it. Good morning. Welcome to the Millionaire Mindset Book Club, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Man, I'm a little back from the gym, a little bit sore already. Man, are you ready? Let me ask you a question. It's got nothing to do with the gym. Are you ready for Christmas? All right, a couple more days, shopping days. Today's the 20th. Next Monday, right? Next Monday, Christmas. Mastery. So, they say, 10,000 hours, right? I don't know where that ever came from, but 10,000 hours of practice at your craft, right, to make you a master. Jeff Olson says mastery is not some vaulted, lofty place that only the elite few ever land, right? I put this in the description. Mastery is not an exalted state that lies at the end of the path. It is a state of mind that lies at the very beginning, right? The very beginning. Mastery, according to the author of Education in Ecstasy and the Way of Aikido, mastery is the act of setting your foot on the path, right? There are no shortcuts, no special tickets needed, and none available if you wanted one. You don't have to be born with any exceptional abilities to enter into mastery, nor is it reserved for the super talented. You don't even need to have gotten an early start, right? But it is the upward journey of the slight edge curve, right? So the slight edge curve, right, is available to anybody at any time that's willing to get on the path and stay on it, right? But it is only by being immersed in the process, the day-by-day progression, that you will come to know the road, right? That's how you get the skills. That's how you refine. That's how you acquire the skills. That's how you refine the skills and the awareness that you need to master the slight edge. The only requirement is taking that first step, right? That's it. Baby steps, right? Baby steps. Think about a kid walking, right? They don't do it right away, but they keep trying, right? They keep trying. They start by laying, they're just laying on their back. Then they learn how to turn over. Then they learn how to sit up. Then they learn how to get on their knees. And then, eventually they stand up. Eventually they take their first step, right? So here you are. You've gotten all this information out of the slight edge, right? And that's the same as having just completed your first step, right? Think about it. In the process of learning how to walk, did you spend more time falling down or standing up, right? If you were like most babies, you fell and fell and fell and fell and fell. It didn't matter, right? It did not matter because you were on the path of mastery, right? The baby never thought about quitting. Oh, well, I guess I'll just stay here on the floor, right? No, of course not, right? You were on the path of mastery, right? You were already a master. It was just a matter of time before your walking skills caught up to your mastery, right? So, when you fell down, sometimes it hurt, and you probably looked pretty silly. It says lying there on like a beetle, on the floor on your back, but you kept at it. And why? Why did you keep at it? Because successful people do what unsuccessful people aren't willing to do, and all babies are successful, right? All babies become masters at walking, right? That's the way we're designed. That's the way a human being is designed, right? Is to become a master. So think about, are there any situations in your life today where you've given up and decided to keep crawling instead of going for what you really want, what you really deserve, right? What do you deserve? What do you want? What do you deserve? Sometimes that mindset of what I deserve is what stops you, right? Anyway, somewhere the answer to that question, right, is both simple and sad, according to Jeff Olson. He said somewhere along the way you lost faith, right? You became too grown up to take baby steps, too sure of yourself that you would never succeed to let yourself fail a few times first. So you gave up on that universal truth that those simple little disciplines done over and over and over again would move the biggest mountains, right? Jesus told him, say, if you want to move this mountain, just say the word, right? He didn't say overnight, right? A little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, right? Um, Jeff Olson says there's something treacherous about letting go of the childlike willingness to try again and again. The dangerous part of saying that'll never work for me, and that is settling for less, settling for failure and giving up on the baby steps. Eventually becomes a process. It becomes a habit, right? It becomes a habit, and it becomes a habit that spreads across all aspects of your life, right? The first time you give up, it hurts, it's painful, it makes you feel bad. But the more you give up, the easier and easier it gets, right? The more you give up, the easier it gets, and success gets farther and farther away from you, right? So from Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, right? There's one quality that you have to possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose. You got to be clear. You got to have clarity on what you want, right? The knowledge of what one wants and the burning desire to possess it. So here's the beautiful thing, though, about the slight edge, right? So we're on that path, but you can change that anytime you want. You can get back on the upward trajectory path anytime you want. You just got to set your mind. You just got to set your mind to it, right? Letting go of your dreams, letting go of your wants, giving up, and saying, "Oh well, it'll never happen for me." That hurts. That wanting hurts, right? And when you want, man, when you get in that mode, it affects everybody around you too, right? So let's see. Here's an interesting. This is Jeff Olson. Here's an interesting thing. He said, if putting voice to your fondest dreams can make you a little bit uncomfortable, it can also make the people around you uncomfortable, and often far more so uncomfortable than you are. He says, tell your 5 closest friends about your biggest ambition and watch them squirm. And the reason why, because showing them your want, your desire, also reminds them of their want or their lack of things, right? So it's important that you be careful with whom you share your goals and your dreams and your visions with, right? It's natural to want to share your enthusiasm with everybody around you, and useful to remember that people often tend to respond by raining on your parade, right? When they do, it's not because they're trying to be mean, or they have a conscious desire to, put you down, the man holding you down. It's a form of self-defense. They'd rather not hear about the vision you have because it reminds them of the one that they have lost, right? So Jeff Olson talks about closing the gap, right? If you take an honest look back at your life, in the last chapter, we did that. Remember, look down, look up, right? And you rate yourself as being on the success curve or the failure curve in different areas. You have two different points in your life. Point A, where you could be, your vision of what's possible for you in your life, and where you are, right? Or actually where you could be and where your vision takes you, right? Point A and point B. So the extent that there's a gap between points A and B, it's natural that it's like holding a magnet near a piece of iron. He says you can feel the magnet tugging, right? You can feel your dreams tugging at your present circumstances, right? Trying to get you there, right? He goes on to talk a little bit about problems, right? Everybody's going to have problems, and you can gauge the limitations of a person's life by the size of the problems that get them down. Little problems don't bother you, right? Bigger problems don't bother you, shouldn't bother you. You can measure the impact a person's life has by the size of the problems that he or she solves, right? What most people call a problem is simply a gap. It's an open space between where you are and where you could be, right? So people that are on the failure curve, what pulls them? Remember from the exercise, looking down, looking up, right? What pulls people on the failure curve, right? Those are people that dwell in the past, right? People that dwell in the past are the ones that are on the failure curve. What pulls people along for people that live on the positive curve, the success curve, is the future. So where are you going to be, right? Where are you going to be? You're going to be on the path to the past or to the future, right? One last thing, and then I've got to go. I have another commitment this morning. Funerals, right? This is from page 123 in master in the slide edge. He was talking about salespeople being rejected, right? And so he tells his story in here, but what he was worried about being rejected in sales, but he read this article, and the article was about funerals, and it informed him that at the average funeral, about 10 people cry, right? 10 people. You can go through your entire life, spend years and years going through all these trials and tribulations and achievements, and at the end, there are only 10 people who care enough to cry, right? And the next paragraph said, even worse than that, the number one factor that determines how many people would go from your funeral to the actual burial at the cemetery, the number one factor, the weather, right? The weather. So he says, why should you care? Why should you care about being rejected by somebody who wouldn't cry at your funeral, right? Or what somebody thinks about what you're doing if you're in sales, right? Oh, you're a salesman, or whatever. He said, if the odds are iffy, right, as to whether or not someone's even going to cry at your funeral, and chances are 50-50 that they duck out before you go to the burial, then why do you spend so much time worrying about what they're thinking now, right? Why would you be afraid of rejection? Why would you be concerned about what the majority thinks? Why would you be worried about what the 95% think, say, or do, right? So what somebody else thinks about you is none of your business, right? What you think about me, none of my business, right? Not my concern. So jump into the end. Key points. The mastery is not some vaulted, lofty place that only the elite few ever land. The pursuit of any aim, goal, or dream, personal, professional, spiritual, in any area, is a slight edge journey of continuous improvement, learning, and refinement. Mastery is not an exalted state that lies at the end of the path. It is a state of mind that lies at the very beginning. Mastery is the act of setting your foot on the path. Get your butts out there and put your foot on the path. There we go. That's it for today, Wednesday, the 20th of December. We'll see you all right here tomorrow morning. Millionaire Mindset Book Club, Chapter 9. Have a great day. Get out there and make today the best day of your life so far.